Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing the heater in the Range Rover Classic. So that's going to be this whole assembly here we're going to replace. Now I've just done a video on removing the dashboard, which we're going to have to do to get at this, and then this is going to be a continuation from that. So removing the heater, and to do this we're going to have to get at this from the inside and from under the bonnet. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to start draining the coolant. So whilst that's draining, I can then start working on the inside of the car. So let's go. So here we are under the bonnet. Got a 200 TDI fitted at the moment. Looking at it, sorry for itself, I know. It was originally a 3.9 V8, but what we're going to do here is we've got the two hoses that they feed into the heater matrix, so they're going to have to be removed. But before we do that, I'm going to have to drain the water. So what I'm going to do is take the bottom hose of the radiator, pull that off, and I've got a bucket underneath, so see how much I spill. Okay, so there we can see you've got these two removed. They can be quite hard to get at. This bottom one was really stuck on. You can see I've had to put this cable around to help get a pull with the second hand. But yeah, just try and get a straight direct pull so you're not damaging the pipes and that. I know my one's going to be scrap, but yeah, it's best practice to do it like that anyway. And okay, now we come inside the car. If you didn't see the dashboard removal video, you can see this is where I had the fire previously. These wires were melted through, and then yeah, it's not in a great condition. This car originally had AC, and the unit I've got to replace it with a non-AC one. I've not got AC fitted in this car, so I'm not too worried about that at the moment. But first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the whole harness, get that free at the front, and there's 4 bolts. So they're going to be one there at the bottom, same on the other side. And then the hardest thing about getting these out is the clearance between the top of this frame here and the bottom, but I should be able to worm it out. So there we are, that's the 4 bolts removed. I know the pipes are disconnected in the engine bay. With this being burnt, it's actually not as tight as what the new one will be to go in. But this, we're just going to ease it back. So that's what the old heater looks like. You see the motor in there, all this is burnt away. The plastic that's fell down onto the heater matrix, the core itself. All I've got to do really is some of these trim panels. I'm going to have to take these off, swap them over onto the new one. These switches here, they are untested on the new one, so I'm just going to, I know these are working, so I'm going to take these off, swap them over. And then we've got some of the bits for the AC as well, and even though I don't have it on the car, I'm going to swap those over, just so if at some point in the future I want to fit, or someone else wants to fit AC again, they've got it there. So there we are, I've swapped everything over, and I'll leave these two out for now. They're for duct into the rear seats. But yeah, I'll get this fitted back in. Okay, so I've got that back in, tightened up. You can see can be a bit fiddly, just to make sure it's lined up correctly and that the pipes are going through and not damaging them for the heater matrix itself. And then whilst I'm in here, I noticed some of the wiring was not in the best condition, so I've made a few repairs and then I've connected up these switches. Next up is I'm going to connect the pipes from the engine in the engine bay, reconnect the lower hose to the radiator, and then we can fill it with water, test it inside here, make sure we've got no leak inside the car, make sure it's blowing all okay, and then after that finally just put the dash back. Okay, so there you can see both those hoses are back on. I've also tightened the bottom hose on the radiator. So now I'm going to fill up just with pure water first time and then see if we've got any leaks. and then we can drop that water out and then refill with our coolant. Okay, so now the coolant system's filled back up again, and been really careful to make sure it's all bled off properly. Very important with the 200 TDI especially, because their weak spot on them is the heads, so I need to make sure that's filled with water. But next up then, we can turn the ignition. You can just feel the air blowing out of here. It's all coming out as it should. I'll just leave that running for a bit. We'll check for any leaks in the coolant system, and then yeah, ready to put the dash back in. There we are then, guys. That's the heater replaced. It's not too big of a job once you have the dashboard out. It can be just a bit fiddly with the hoses at the front. You need to make sure when you pull them off, you're not damaging the core itself, especially if you plan to reuse it. But yeah, hopefully this helped you out, and yeah, see what we do next.